Adolf Hitler's role in the outbreak and escalation of the Second World War is rooted in three core factors: a totalitarian ideological framework, an aggressive geopolitical agenda, and the transformation of the German state into a centralized instrument of military expansion. Hitler positioned himself at the center of all political and strategic decisions, embedding his worldview into every stage of Germany's domestic and foreign policy. By 1939, this combination of personal dictatorship, radical vision, and institutional control made large-scale conflict nearly inevitable. The Second World War became the largest and deadliest military confrontation in modern history, reshaping borders, institutions, and global power structures. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, a small Austrian town near the German border. His family background offered no early signs of political extremism. His father, Alois, was a customs official, his mother, Clara, a homemaker. During adolescence, Hitler developed strong nationalistic sentiments, heavily influenced by pan-German ideology, which promoted the unification of all ethnic Germans into a single state. Hitler's ambition to attend the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna was denied twice. During his years in Vienna, 1908-1913, he lived in poverty and absorbed a wide range of political ideas circulating at the time. These included racial theories, social Darwinism, and anti-Semitic rhetoric common among far-right circles. His thinking became increasingly radicalized, forming the foundation for his future political platform. World War I had a decisive impact on Hitler's identity. Serving as a frontline messenger in the Bavarian army, he was wounded and temporarily blinded. Germany's defeat in 1918 shaped his views on politics and society. He adopted the stab-in-the-back myth, which falsely claimed that Germany's loss was caused by internal betrayal rather than military failure. This belief became central in his later propaganda. Nazi ideology was a structured system built on several interconnected principles. Racial hierarchy. The division of humanity into superior and inferior groups, with Germans and other Aryans considered the pinnacle of human development. Antisemitism. Jews were depicted as the primary threat to the purity and survival of the German nation. Anti-communism. Communism, especially Soviet Bolshevism, was identified as an existential danger. Führerprinzip. The leader's authority was absolute, unquestionable, and above all institutions. Lebensraum. The belief that the German population needed territorial expansion in Eastern Europe for survival. Militarism and national unity. The nation was envisioned as a mobilized, uniform community under the state. The combination of these elements created a totalitarian framework that justified internal repression, external aggression, and ultimately, genocidal policies. In 1919, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, soon renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP. His oratory skills rapidly elevated him within the organization. In 1923, the failed beer hall putsch attempted to overthrow the Bavarian government. This resulted in his imprisonment, during which he dictated Mein Kampf, outlining his future agenda. The economic turmoil of the Great Depression provided the NSDAP with fertile ground. Mass unemployment, hyperinflation, and political instability created widespread dissatisfaction. The Nazis positioned themselves as a force promising order, national revival, and resistance to communism. In January 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Shortly after, the Reichstag fire occurred, enabling the government to pass emergency decrees suspending civil liberties. The Enabling Act of March 1933 effectively dismantled democracy by giving Hitler full legislative powers. Over the next year, opposition parties were dissolved, trade unions abolished, and the press brought under control. The Night of the Long Knives in 1934 eliminated internal rivals. After President Hindenburg's death, Hitler merged the roles of Chancellor and President, becoming Führer. Hitler's foreign policy between 1933 and 1939 focused on revising the Versailles Treaty and expanding German influence. Major steps included: withdrawal from the League of Nations, 1933. Massive rearmament program, openly violating treaty restrictions, 1935. Reoccupation of the demilitarized Rhineland, 1936, which met no resistance from France or Britain. Anschluss with Austria in March 1938, annexing the country into the Reich. Munich Agreement and acquisition of the Sudetenland in September 1938. Complete dismantling of Czechoslovakia in March 1939. These actions increased Germany's strategic advantage and convinced Hitler that Western powers were reluctant to intervene militarily. The invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, initiated World War II in Europe. Blitzkrieg tactics combined mechanized units, air superiority, and rapid infantry movement. Poland collapsed within weeks. Following this, Denmark and Norway fell in early 1940, securing strategic routes and naval positions. Germany launched a swift campaign against the Low Countries and France, bypassing the Maginot Line. Paris fell in June 1940. France signed an armistice. By mid-1940, most of Western and Central Europe was under German control. Despite early victories, several strategic miscalculations undermined Germany's long-term position. The Battle of Britain. Germany failed to gain air superiority. The planned invasion, Operation Sea Lion, was abandoned. Operation Barbarossa, June 22, 1941. The invasion of the Soviet Union became the turning point of the war. Underestimation of Soviet capacity. German planners misjudged Soviet manpower, industrial resilience, and ability to relocate factories eastward. Overextension. Fighting simultaneously in North Africa, the Mediterranean, and the Eastern Front strained resources. Micromanagement. Hitler frequently overruled generals, prohibiting tactical retreats and insisting on rigid defense. Between 1942 and 1943, the balance of power shifted. Stalingrad became a catastrophic defeat, with the encirclement and surrender of the Sixth Army. North Africa was lost after defeats by Allied forces. The Battle of Kursk, 1943, the largest tank battle in history, ended Germany's last major offensive in the east. Germany increasingly fought defensively, losing territory steadily. The Holocaust was centrally planned and systematically executed. Jews and other targeted groups were deported to extermination camps such as Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor. Einsatzgruppen conducted mass shootings in Eastern Europe. Ghettos in Warsaw, and other cities confined populations under horrific conditions. Millions were killed through gas chambers, forced labor, starvation, and medical experiments. The genocide was integral to Nazi policy, not a byproduct of war. Several critical events accelerated Germany's collapse. Moscow counteroffensive, 1941. First major German setback. Stalingrad, 1943. Loss of an entire army group. Kursk, 1943. End of offensive capability. North African surrender, 1943. Loss of strategic access to Mediterranean. Allied bombing campaigns. Systematic destruction of industrial centers. Normandy landings, June 6, 1944. Western Allies established a permanent foothold in Europe. By late 1944, Germany faced overwhelming military pressure. End 1945. The Allies crossed the Rhine. The Red Army encircled Berlin. Hitler retreated to the Führerbunker. On April 30, 1945, Hitler committed suicide. Germany unconditionally surrendered on May 8, 1945. The war ended in Europe, leaving the continent devastated. Adolf Hitler's rule demonstrated the consequences of unchecked dictatorship, extremist ideology, and militarized expansionism. His leadership resulted in systematic genocide, destructive warfare, and unprecedented civilian suffering. The collapse of the Third Reich reshaped global alliances, accelerated the formation of the United Nations, and led to a new era defined by the Cold War. The legacy of Hitler's regime remains central to understanding the dangers of totalitarian governance, propaganda-driven society, and ideologies rooted in racial hatred. The Second World War continues to serve as a historical warning, emphasizing the need for international oversight, political restraint, and collective security.